Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So in this particular video, I am going to discuss one very interesting architecture related to simple queue service which you can add in your AWS architecture or AWS data pipeline if you are using DLQ. Okay. So what is DLQ? How to work with Python and simple queue service, that is how to send a message, how to receive a message, how to delete a message. All these concepts I have discussed in our previous videos in detail. Okay. So if you want to know those concepts, then please check the link given in the description box, because those concepts surely going to help you to understand today's architecture or code what I am going to discuss. Okay. So just a quick recap, what is DLQ? That is basically, suppose some message is getting published in our simple queue service and there is a consumer who is trying to consume the message from SQS, but due to some reason, due to message property, environment issue, whatever, the consumer is not able to process the message, okay, after multiple retries also. Then what happens? The message goes to dead letter queue, okay. Now when the message goes to dead letter queue, what you can do? You can notify the admin team or developer team that, see, this is the message which our consumer, that can be Lambda or EC2 whatever, is not able to process, so please look into it, okay. Or else what you can do, when the message comes in DLQ, just you have to create one more feature so that that message from DLQ will go back to our source queue, okay. And then another attempt by the consumer will be done to consume that particular message, okay. Then also if it fails, then you can basically notify the admin team or developer team that, see, after this retry also it is not working, please look into it. Like that kind of architecture you can build. And this is called dead letter queue retrieve to source queue, okay. That is, if you consider this architecture, forget about everything. I will explain each and individual component in detail. As of now, what I am trying to say, suppose a publisher is there who is publishing a message in our main source queue, okay. And from source queue, a consumer is trying to consume the message. If the consumer is not able to consume that, suppose the message goes to dead letter queue, then what our pipeline or architecture will do, it will move that back to the source queue. And that is called DLQ Redrive to source queue. And again from the source queue, the consumer will try to consume, okay. And if it fails again, then again it will go to DLQ, okay. And you can basically configure that how many times DLQ will retry to send that particular unprocessed message to source queue. And after that many retries or after that many full cycle also, if the consumer is not able to consume the message from source queue, then you can basically take some other step to notify admin team or developer team or something you can do, okay. So how we can implement that, that's what this particular architecture explains, okay. Let me go step by step. So here is our publisher, and publisher publish the message in our source queue, okay. And then suppose the Lambda is our consumer, okay. We have written a code in Python using Boto3, but if you are comfortable, you can use other programming language as well, okay. For different programming language, AWS SDK is there, right? So now what the consumer will do, the consumer will try to consume the message from source queue, and suppose it is not able to process that, the message will be going to DLQ. As soon as the message is going to DLQ, there is another Python code which will run based on this trigger, okay. You can think that that is a Lambda code. So this Lambda code is kind of handle the messages whatever is coming in DLQ, okay. Now how we can configure the retry behavior, that's what let's try to understand, okay. So what this Python code is doing, this is reading the message whatever is coming in DLQ, okay. And then it is checking one property. So already in our previous video I have explained that message body is one of the most important parameter in our message whatever we are publishing in a queue, right? Apart from that, there is a attribute section also, right? In attribute section, we can basically configure an attribute which will say how many times retry attempt from DLQ to source queue happened, okay. So here this particular Python code will check in this particular message whatever it consumed from DLQ, there in the attribute section, retry count, this particular key is present or not, okay. So suppose it is not present, then what will happen? If suppose some message is coming and retry count, this particular key is not present in the attribute section of DLQ message, then what it will do? This particular Python code only will add retry count as 1. That is because it is happening for the first time from DLQ to source queue, right? So retry count will be 1 in the beginning. It will add that key value pair retry count as 1 in the message attribute, and then it will send back to source queue. While sending back to source queue, what it will do? It will delete the message from DLQ, because from DLQ we are sending back to source queue, right? So we should be deleting the message from DLQ. So that time this particular Python code only will delete the message from DLQ and put the message in source queue. So the message again appeared in the source queue. Okay. Now suppose this way, from DLQ to source queue, how many times you want to make a full cycle, that you can configure. Suppose max to max 2 times you will make a retry attempt, like that you can configure. Okay, that threshold value you can configure. Okay. Now first full cycle is completed. Now in the source queue, when that message came from DLQ, there in the attribute section, one more extra attribute is present, which is indicating retry count. That is how many times the message came from DLQ to source queue. Okay. Now again the Lambda will try to consume that message. Again, suppose it fails, it will simply put in DLQ. Okay. Now in DLQ, whatever message was there in source queue, suppose if the Lambda is not able to process, as it is, it will be coming to DLQ. So at the second run in this DLQ, when the message will come, in that message in the attribute section, the retry count is still 1, because till now it has made only one full cycle. Okay. Now again this DLQ will trigger this Lambda, and then this Lambda will check whether retry count attribute is present or not. Now this time retry count attribute is present, and that is 1 basically, because already it had made one full cycle, right? Now if retry count is present, what it will do, it will make a check. It will check whether retry count is less than equal to the specified threshold or not. Okay. What I mean to say, that is how many times full cycle from DLQ to source queue the message will go before purging or something. Okay, that is indicated by the threshold, right? So this particular Lambda will check whether retry count is less than equal to the specified threshold or not. Okay, suppose threshold is 2 times. That means at least 2 times the message, the pipeline will try to process the message from DLQ to source queue, and if then also it is not able to process, then the message will be purged. That kind of architecture we have implemented. Okay, basically currently retry count is 1. So this particular if else condition, retry count less than equal to threshold, suppose threshold is 2, that means one more retry from DLQ to source queue it can do. Okay, so basically yes condition is satisfied, retry count is less than equal to threshold. So what will happen, it will delete the message from DLQ, and not only it will put the message in source queue, before putting the message in source queue, it will make retry count equal to retry count plus 1. Okay, so what it will do, because again in the next time it is moving the message from DLQ to source queue, while this condition is satisfied, there is retry count which is 1 currently, that is less than equal to threshold which is 2. So the message will again go to source queue, right? So what it will do, it will delete the message from DLQ, and then it will increase the retry count equal to retry count plus 1, because another time retry we are doing, and then it will put the message in source queue again. So when this time the message is coming in source queue, in the retry count attribute, the value is 2. Okay, and then what will happen? From the source queue, suppose the consumer is taking, it is not able to process that message again, it will be going to DLQ again. From the DLQ, it will go to this error handling Lambda again. It will check retry count attribute is present or not. It is present. Then it will check whether retry count less than equal to threshold or not. Okay. So this time, when here in DLQ, second time the message came, the retry count was 2. So here our threshold is also 2. So 2 less than equal to 2 condition is satisfied. So this yes condition will be satisfied. Okay. So again the message will be deleted from DLQ. Retry count will be plus 1, that is 2 plus 1 which is 3, and then it will message back to source queue. Okay. Now third time when the message is coming to source queue, that time the retry count is 3. Okay. And suppose again Lambda, this consumer is not able to process that message. Okay. Again it will go to DLQ. So when in DLQ it came, the retry count is how much? Retry count is basically 3 this time. Okay. And our specified threshold is 2. That is maximum it will try to send the message from DLQ to source queue 2 times. But already threshold is crossed. Okay. Now let's see what happens. So from DLQ, this error handling Lambda will consume the message, and it will check whether retry attribute is present or not. If it is present, it will check retry count is less than equal to threshold or not. Now this time retry count is 3 and our threshold is 2. So this condition will not be satisfied. No, because retry count is greater than threshold, right? So this time again it will not try in source queue because again and again it is failing. That means some problem is there. What it will do, it will delete the message from DLQ. That is, in DLQ already we are constantly using error handling Lambda, right? So it will delete that message from DLQ and it will no longer put the message in source queue, but rather it will put the message in a S3 bucket. Okay, and from the S3 bucket you can create an event notification, or you can put in SNS, whatever place, and from that you can send the email notification, mobile message notification, SMS notification to the admin team or developer team that see, after this many retry also our processing engine not able to process the message. Please look into it and try to solve it. Okay, so this is what is our DLQ Redrive to source queue architecture. Okay, very simple. And now let's see the implementation. Okay, so what I will do, I will go to AWS management console and I'll be going to SQS Queue. I'll be creating a queue. So here I'll be choosing standard queue for demo. Okay, so here I'll be giving the name source queue, keeping all other properties unchanged. I'll create this queue. Okay, and here I'll be creating another queue, DLQ demo testing. Okay, I'll create this queue. Okay, now let's see our code one by one. So instead of Lambda, I am going to show you the code step-by-step execution from Google Colab notebook, but you can implement the same in Lambda. Okay, so first step what I am going to explain is publisher. Okay, what will publish the message in the source queue. That is kind of one-time activity we are going to do. So here is our publisher code. So what we are doing, first we are installing Boto3, and then here what we are doing, here we are basically importing JSON, Boto3, date time, and from date time import date. Some important imports we are doing here. That's all we are doing. Okay. Then here we are creating the Boto3 client for our SQS Queue. I'll be taking the AWS access key and secret key from the AWS management console, but you can use role-based authentication also to make the system more secured, or put your credentials in secret manager and all this kind of stuff you can do. But as of now, just for demo purpose, I am using the raw user ID and password, that is access key and secret key concept. Okay, so here I'll be going to access key, I'll create a new key, I'll download the key. Okay, and here we got our access key and secret key. I'll be taking this particular access key value, and here I'll paste in the access key. I'll take the secret key and I'll be pasting that here. Whole demo I am going to explain with USS2, that is our Ohio region. As you can see, this is Ohio region where we created our SQS queues. So I am creating the Boto3 client in USS2 only. Okay, then this particular function, which I already explained in our earlier video in detail, you can check the description link for detailed explanation. This particular function is basically taking the queue URL, whatever body you want to send, and whatever attributes of the message you want to put, and then it is basically using this SQS send client and using the method called send message. Okay, and passing the parameters, it will put the message to that SQS queue. Okay, that's all we are doing. Now here send queue URL. So here this is the publisher code, right? So our publisher will publish the message where in the source queue. So I'll be taking the source queue URL. I'll be refreshing that here, and here is our source queue. I'll be taking the URL. Okay, and then here I will paste that. Okay, right, and here I will run that, and then here what we are doing, we are putting a message in our source queue. Okay, what is the message? Here if you see the attribute section, it is basically having name and age, okay, with their data type. How we put message attribute in SQS queue, same format. And in the body part, I am putting a JSON, but the JSON or the dictionary is not properly ended. Okay, see here what I am doing. Here I am passing a JSON as a string, name as Satudru, age as 200, but here I am not giving a closing curly bracket. Okay, and that's why if you just simply take this particular message and suppose you are using JSON.loads, then it will fail, right? That's how we will try to intentionally fail our message consumption. Okay, And then here what we are doing, we are sending the message in our source queue. All I will do, I will run this particular code. Okay. So here if I go back to our source queue, see, I'll go to queue and I'll refresh this one. Here see, in source queue one message is there. I'll go to source queue. I will go to send and receive messages. Okay. And then here I will go to poll for messages. See, currently one receive count is there. I will just click on that. Same message, whatever we have sent, body part and age part. That is, here you can see the age. After age, the curly bracket is not properly closed. So if any consumer try to consume this message and they are applying JSON.loads, then this particular dictionary will fail to getting typecast from string to dictionary, right? Because here it is not properly ended. Okay. In the attribute section, currently no retry count attribute is present, right? Only we have given age and name some dummy attribute. You can add any attribute as per your choice. Okay. So here our message came to our source queue, right? If I go to here you can see in our source queue the message is available. Now here what we are doing, if you see the architecture, here we are having a consumer Python code. I will show you the consumer Python code what we are doing here. Here again we are doing pip install Boto3, and then here we are importing the necessary requirements, and here I'll be putting the access key and secret key from this particular code whatever we created here. Okay, I'll take that. And I'll be pasting that here. Okay, and then here send queue, same function we are keeping. Source queue URL, DLQ URL we have to put. Okay, so what is our source queue URL? I'll be taking that from here. Source queue URL is basically this one. And what is our DLQ URL? I'll be taking from here. Okay, so here is our DLQ URL, right? I'll be taking that. And then here I have written another function which is called consume messages. Okay, it will try to consume the messages. If the messages are consumed properly, it will delete the message from source queue. And if it is failing to consume the message from source queue, it will put that message in DLQ. That's it. Okay, so first we are calling the receive message method, okay, to receive the message from our source queue. Okay, and then we are checking that if messages are there, that means if our source queue is not empty, then obviously receive message will return some messages. We are iterating in the list of messages, and here what we are doing, we are taking the message attribute part, message body part, whatever I have explained, and then here see we have kept in a try block that JSON.loads message body. Okay, so I have told you, right, that the body we have passed in the source queue such that as soon as we will apply JSON.loads, it will fail because the body part is not properly ended, right? So try block will throw error, and the exception will be catched by this except block. It will print the exception, and then what it will do, it will send that particular message to our DLQ. See, here we are using send queue, that is same function, but here we are passing DLQ URL. Okay, so the message, if the particular consumer is not able to consume, then it will put that in DLQ, right? As per the architecture, that's what it is trying to do, right? And then here what it will do, once it put the message in DLQ, it has to delete that message from source queue also, right? So that's what it is doing here. SQS send.delete message, and it is deleting that. That's all. It's very simple, right? So I will run this one, and as of now, if you see, I will go to the queue section. If I refresh this one, you can see only in the source queue one message is there. In DLQ no messages is there. Okay, and I will just run our consume message function. Okay, and see what it is showing. It is clearly writing that here it is showing an exception that delimiter line 1 column 28, that is this particular consumer is not able to consume the message, and that's why it thrown error. And error thrown in the sense it will delete that message from the source queue, it will put that message in DLQ. That's it. Okay, so I'll be going back to source queue, and now this time what is the expectation? The expectation is the message should be going away from the source queue. In source queue 0 messages should be shown, and in DLQ 1 message should be getting displayed. Okay, so I will refresh this one and see currently it is showing 0 0. Just let us wait for a few seconds. See, here in DLQ 1 message is available, in source queue no message is available. Okay, so I'll be going to DLQ, and here what I will do, I will basically try to receive the messages using the polling mechanism. If I poll, and see here we are getting the message. same message, whatever was there in source queue, because our consumer is not able to consume, it is putting that in DLQ. Okay, in the attribute section you will see same attributes are present. Okay, I will make this done and I will stop the polling. Okay, so now what happened, the message came to DLQ. Okay, so now what our architecture is saying, that if the message comes in DLQ, we will try to send that message again to source queue. Okay, so for that the error handling Lambda code looks like this, which I will explain step by step. Okay, so first we are doing Boto3 installation, and then here what we are doing, we are basically importing the necessary modules. Okay, very simple. And here we are taking the date time part for today. I'll be explaining when this particular part is required. Okay, right. So here if I print the date for today, it will display today's date, which is May 15, 2022. Okay, then here what we are doing, here we are first creating SQS client with access key and secret. So for that I'll be going back to my earlier code, and here I'll be taking the same code from here and I'll be putting that here. Okay, here we have put that, and not only that, here we have to basically create the Boto3 client for S3 also, because if certain threshold is crossed after retry attempt from DLQ to source queue, it will parse that message in S3, right? So for S3 also it is required. So I'll be taking the same access key and secret key and all, and I'll be pasting that here and I will run this one. Okay, simple. And then here what we are doing, we are configuring our required AWS services. There is SQS DLQ URL. So for that what I will do, I will go back to my older code, and here I will be taking the DLQ URL. Okay, then we have to pass the source queue URL. Source queue URL also I'll be taking from here. Okay, and then here S3 prefix stage. What it says, basically after the retry count is crossing the threshold value, we are going to parse that message in S3, right? So in which bucket we want to put that message, and what is the folder structure, that we have to configure. So for that I'll be going to AWS management console, and I'll be going to S3, and I'll be creating a bucket in it. Okay, create bucket. I can give the name Redrive Patch for this particular bucket, because after multiple redrive from DLQ to source queue also, if the message is not able to be getting consumed by the consumer, then only it will patch that particular SQS message to S3. Okay, so here I will create the bucket. Okay, and here I will be taking the bucket name, and I'll be putting that in our this particular Python code. And prefix stage, what is the folder structure? So if you want, you can put that directly here. I just want to put that inside one folder, because your main bucket can be used for multiple purpose. One particular folder you can dedicate for all these kind of purging messages and all. Okay, unprocessed messages I can give the name, and I will create this particular folder. And in the error handling Python code also I will put this one. That's pretty much it, right? And maximum retries. Okay, how many times it will retry? Suppose maximum retry for this particular experiment I am putting as 2. Okay, so maximum 2 times it will basically try to send back the message from DLQ to source queue. After 2 times also, if the consumer is not able to process the message from source queue, it will parse that in S3. Okay, so I will run this one. And then here we have written a function. Okay, so what it is doing, here you can see send and delete queue. Okay, so here in the same function we can delete the message from some certain queue, as well as we can send in some queue. Okay, so what are the parameters it is taking? Send queue URL, in which queue I want to send the message, what body I want to send, what are the attributes of that message I want to send, and we are basically using SQS client to send the messages in that particular queue. Okay, and for deleting a message, what are the things required? Number 1 is from which queue you want to delete the message, right? That queue URL I am putting that in this particular parameter. And receipt handler. Okay, what this receipt handler is doing, whenever you want to delete some messages from DLQ or any queue, then you need this received handler, which is kind of unique identifier for individual message, which is always generated when some new message comes in SQS queue, right? So that one we have to pass to delete any message from a normal SQS queue or DLQ, whatever you say. So that's what we are using that here. SQS client, whatever client we have created for SQS, that one we are using with delete message method. We are passing the queue URL and the received handler to delete the message. That's it. Okay. I will run this one. Okay. And now comes our main code, which is process SQS message. Okay. This particular function will basically take care of all the if-else condition, whatever we have put here, the complete logic. Okay. But very simple. It is just a basic for loop if-else code. That's it. Okay. So here what we are doing, we are creating the function process SQS message. We are passing the source queue URL and DLQ URL. Okay. Then while true, infinite loop, it will break if in our queue there is no message to be processed. Okay. Which queue? Here this particular Python code is handling error. Okay. So this particular Python code will always try to take the message from DLQ. Okay. So this Python code, that is that function, will run until all the messages from DLQ are processed. Okay. So here you can see while true, messages equal to SQS client dot receive message. Okay, I am using receive message method to receive the messages from DLQ to the error handling Lambda, and here we are passing the DLQ URL. Maximum number of message at a single time it will pull is 10 messages. Wait time second is 20. That is, if no message is available in DLQ, it will wait for 20 seconds, and if after 20 seconds also no message is coming in DLQ, it will basically simply throw null value, or else within 20 seconds if new message comes in DLQ, it will send that back. Okay, and all the attributes I am putting. Okay, right? Then what we are doing here, if messages in messages, if message are there in DLQ, this receive message will send the messages, and there this particular queue will be there. Earlier itself I have told you, right, that how to check one queue is empty or not using this particular logic. If messages are there, then we are going to use something, and else part is basically simply saying the queue is currently empty or messages are invisible, and we are breaking the infinite while loop. Okay, whatever we have created here, right? So if messages are there, what we are doing, we are iterating in the messages, and here we are creating an empty dictionary new message attribute. Here we are defining a variable retry count as 1 and current retry count as 0. Okay, just these are used in our main code. I will be explaining you. This is very simple actually. Here what we are checking, if messages attributes are there in message or not. So it is not necessary that in your whatever message you will be sending in SQS or DLQ, whatever, always messages attributes will be there. Okay, that's why we are checking that if messages attributes are there in our message or not. Okay, if it is there, we are basically extracting that particular message attributes in the new message attribute. Okay, and then what we are doing, we are checking if retry count, this particular key is there or not in our message attribute. If it is there, what we are doing, we are increasing the retry count by value 1. What I have explained in the flowchart diagram, right? Same thing we are doing here. If retry count is there, then we are basically increasing that by 1 value. Okay, and current retry count also we are putting in this current retry count variable. Okay, whatever we have initialized here. Okay, so current retry count basically contain the current retry count, and retry count is basically having a value increased by 1. Okay, now here what we are doing, new message attribute retry count. Okay, so in this particular new message attribute, whatever we have taken from our message, there we are updating or inserting this particular key. If the retry count key is not there, it will basically add that key. If it is there, it will basically update that value, right? That's all it is doing. New message attribute retry count, it will update with the new retry count, for which the value we have increased by value 1. Okay, and then here what we are doing, we are checking if current retry count at this particular stage, current retry count before increasing the value by +1, it is less than equal to maximum retry or not. What is our maximum retry? Our maximum retry is 2. Maximum 2 times it will retry, right? So if current retry count less than equal to maximum amount of retry, that means what will happen? Yes condition will be satisfied, and then it will delete the message from this DLQ. It will put that message in our source queue, right? That's what it is doing. We are calling that send and delete queue function. here we are passing the source queue URL, that is basically whatever we have configured here. See, so SQS source queue, whatever we have passed here, body part and new message attribute, that is these particular 3 parameters together will put that message from DLQ to source queue, and we have to delete that message from DLQ also, right? So we are passing the 4th parameter as DLQ URL and the received handler from the message whatever we have received. So the last 2 parameters will be used in the delete message purpose from the DLQ, right? So basically all we are doing, we are consuming from DLQ. If retry count attribute is not there, we are adding that and deleting that from DLQ and putting that back in source queue. If retry count is there, then we are basically checking whether it is less than equal to threshold or not. If it is less than equal to threshold, we are deleting that from DLQ. We are putting that back in the source queue. That's all, simple, right? And else, if the current retry count is greater than maximum retry, okay, maximum retry we have configured 2, and suppose current retry count is 3, then what will happen? Then we are purging the message in our S3, right? So we are taking the current timestamp, and here S3 prefix stage. Prefix stage is nothing but the folder location where we want to purge the message, and there we are creating a folder structure with current date. Okay, that's how you can create the subfolders. Basically, this is how data lake is designed: month, year, date, and like that. So I am just keeping a simple folder structure. D4 is nothing but our this kind of format: month, then date, then year. Okay, that kind of folder we are creating. Inside that, here what we are doing, we are basically appending the current timestamp with the message ID. Message ID in the message is nothing but another unique identifier of the message which is generated by our SQS Queue internally, and that we want to put as a JSON data. Okay, so here we are putting that S3 key, and then here what data we want to write in S3. We want to write that message body part and the message attribute part, because those are the most important part, right? So here we are creating JSON.dumps. Basically, we are converting that JSON to or dictionary to string before writing in S3. And the body part we are putting the message body, and then here attribute part we are putting the message attribute, and then here we are using S3 put object to put the message in S3. Okay. Once we put that message in S3, we have to delete that from the DLQ also, right? See. Here, when retry count is greater than threshold, then this condition is satisfied. It will be putting that message in S3, and it will delete the message from DLQ also, right? So that's what we are doing here, right? In the error handling Python code. Okay, very simple. Now let's see the implementation. Then only we will feed it. So as of now, if you see in our queue section, what is the state? First time, this particular architecture, if you see from SQS Queue, one publisher published the message, the consumer is not able to consume, and the message is available in DLQ. Okay, till now Redrive has not started. Now we will run this particular Python code which is error handling Lambda. Okay, and as soon as we will run, what will happen? If you see our DLQ, currently one message is there. It will delete that message from the DLQ. It will put that back in source queue. But before putting that back in source queue, because if you see our message here, the retry count is not there, right? In the attribute section, retry count is not there. That's why it will add that retry count as 1, because first time it is retrying from DLQ to source queue, and then it will put the message in our source queue. Okay, I will stop the polling. Polling stop. If I go back here, I will refresh and make sure the message is there in DLQ. So currently the message is there in DLQ. Okay, so I will basically run this process SQS message. What it will do, it will basically take that particular message from DLQ, because this is first time, so retry count, this particular parameter is not there in our message attribute. It will add that as retry count equal to 1, and then it will put that message from DLQ to source queue, and it will delete that message from DLQ also. Okay, so we have to wait a little bit. Okay, so here our message is being processed. Okay, and then if I go back to source queue, from DLQ the message should be getting deleted, and we should be able to see the same message in the source queue again. And also in the attribute section, we will see one new attribute as retry count, whose value is 1, because first time from DLQ to the source queue the message went. Okay, so I'll be going back to our source queue, SQS queue, and I will refresh this one and see from DLQ the message is deleted, it is going back to our source queue. I'll go back to source queue, okay, right, and then here I will click on send and receive messages, and I will click on poll for messages. Okay, here we are getting the message. I will click on that. Body part is same, not at all changed. In the attribute section, if you go, here you will see retry count, which is a number data type. There value 1 is added. That means one time from DLQ, the message went back to the source queue. Okay, very simple. I will click on done and I will stop the polling. Okay, so as of now, if you see the current state, the message is there in our source queue. In DLQ it is empty. Okay, and again it is ready for the consumption purpose from the consumer. Okay, so now when the message is in source queue, again the lambda will be triggered or something can happen. So we will run our consumer Python file again. But because the body part is not properly set as a JSON data, again the consumer message will fail, right? Because here we are trying to do JSON.loads, and in the body part we have not configure the dictionary properly. That's why what will happen from this particular SQS queue, again the consumer will not able to process the message. It will put that back in DLQ. Okay, so I will run this consumer message again, and it is successful. Again it is throwing the same error, exception delimiter line 1 column 28. If you go back till little bit right hand side, here you will see that here in the body part also it is showing that name is Sotodru coming, but age is 200, right? Here the closing curly bracket is not there, and that's why as many times our this particular code is trying to interpret the JSON using JSON.loads, it is failing, and that's why the except block is getting executed, which is sending that message from the source queue to DLQ, and it is deleting that message from the source queue. Okay, now if we go back to our SQS console, then we should see that same message in DLQ. In source queue, no message should be present. Okay, I will refresh this one, and here you will see in our DLQ currently one message is available. In source queue nothing is there. If I go to DLQ and here I will go to send and receive messages, I will go to poll for messages. Here you will see the same message, whatever went to our source queue again came back to DLQ. Okay, in the attribute section currently retry count is 1 only. I will click on done and I will stop the polling. Okay, so what happened now? After the complete full cycle, the message again came back to DLQ. Okay, then again the error handling lambda will run. It will check what is the retry count. Currently retry count is 1 and our specified threshold is 2. So at least it will try to retrieve the message 2 times from DLQ to source queue, right? So basically retry count less than equal to threshold condition will be satisfied. Then what this particular error correction lambda or basically Python code will try to do, it will delete the message from DLQ, it will put that message back to source queue, but it will increase the retry count with value 1, which will indicate that second time from DLQ the message went back to the source queue. Okay, so because I am showing step by step, I hope it will be easy for you to understand the whole flow. Okay, so currently the message is available in DLQ with retry count 1. Again I will run this process SQS message. Okay, again what it will try to do, it will read the message from DLQ. What it will do, it will send back to source queue by increasing the value by 1. Okay, let's wait for a few seconds. So see here it has completed all the processing for all the DLQs. Okay, now what we should see, DLQ, it should be empty first of all, and the DLQ message should be going back to our source queue, but this time the retry count should be 2. Okay, as per this architecture, right? I'll be going back to source queue. Currently see message available in DLQ, it is showing 1. If I refresh this, then message available in source queue should be 1, in DLQ it should be 0. I'll refresh this one and see in source queue the message available is 1. But point to be noted, if I go to source queue and here I will click on send and receive messages, I will click on poll for messages. Here when the message I am seeing in the attribute section, you will see now this time retry count is 2. And what is our maximum threshold? 2 times it will try, right? So this time I will stop the polling. Okay, so here our current state is, I'll go back to queue it is back in source queue. So from the source queue, it will again try to process via this particular consumer, and again it will fail. It will send that back to DLQ, right? So here I will be going back to our consumer Lambda, which will try to consume from source queue. Okay. So currently, let me just confirm. The message is there in source queue, right? I will try to consume, and it failed. Okay. Now what will happen? This from the source queue, the message will be going to DLQ, right? So source queue current state should be 0. In DLQ, one message should be there, which is having an attribute which is pointing to retry count as 2. Okay. When we are saying retry count 2, then this error handler Python code, when it will try to process that, it will check retry count less than equal to threshold or not. So retry count is 2, threshold also we have configured as 2, less than equal to 2 condition will be satisfied. So again from DLQ, it will put that message to the source queue third time, and third time also if we try to consume, then retry count which is 3, which is greater than the threshold, that condition will not be satisfied. It will be putting back to S3. Okay. So here if I go back to our SQS, you will see that currently the same message is available in DLQ. I can show you that also. Send and receive messages, poll for messages. Here you will see that retry count is 2 currently. The same body is coming. So same message came back in DLQ from source queue. Okay. Currently it is there like this way. And then here our error handling Lambda I am running again. So this time what will happen? From DLQ, the retry count value will be increased by another 1 value. So it will be 2 plus 1, which is 3, and it will be going back to our source queue. Okay. So here if I go back to SQS, if I refresh this one, here you will see in source queue the message went, and then here I will go to send or receive messages, and then here I will click on poll for messages. Here we are getting that message. If I go to attribute section, see retry count is 3. Now this time retry count is greater than threshold. Okay. So it will not put that message again back from DLQ to source queue if this Lambda is not able to process, but rather it will put in S3. Okay. We will see that, right? So here I will go back to our SQS queue. I will stop the polling. Okay. If I go back to queue section, currently the message in our SQS queue, and I will now run our consumer message. Okay, it will try to consume, again it will fail again and again for the same reason, and the message will be going back from source queue to DLQ. Okay, but this time from DLQ to source queue, it will not go back again. Again DLQ retrieve will not happen. Okay, because already the retry count is greater than the specified threshold, right? So if I refresh this one, here you will see the message is coming back to DLQ. Okay, I will click on send and receive messages. If I do poll for messages, here you will see the same message whatever was there in our source queue now came back to DLQ with retry count as 3. Okay, and here if I show you our error handling Python code, here you can easily see that maximum retries we have kept 2. Okay, so in this particular row, current retry count which is 3 less than equal to maximum retry condition will not be satisfied. So else condition it will go and it will put that message in our S3. So let's check our S3. Here I will go to unprocessed message. Currently it is empty, right? If I refresh this one, then also it is empty. And if I go to our SQS, we will see in DLQ the message is there. Now when our again error handling Lambda will run, the message will not go back again from DLQ to source queue, but rather from DLQ it will be going back to S3. From S3, you can send event notification using SNS or something, okay, to admin team by mail or by simple messaging service, SMS, whatever, okay, and they can look into it. Why after multiple read drive also the message is not able to process, okay, that they can observe, okay. So I will go back to our S3. I will refresh this particular page. See here, this kind of folder structure is created, whatever we have configured, and here one unique ID is there. I'll click on that and I will download this file. Okay, this is a JSON file. Okay, and here I will open. Here you can see that body part name Satudru, age 200. Okay, see, body part is not properly closed, right? Whatever I have discussed. Attribute part, age and name, whatever we have passed, that is there. Along with that, one more attribute which is retry count also coming, but that is fine. Retry count you can ignore while checking why the message got failed. But main point of interest is how we can create a pipeline to send the message from DLQ to source queue if it is not able to process. Okay, and it should not be infinite loop, right? So that's why after the threshold we are purging that in S3, right? I hope you have understood this. All the codes I'll be providing in the description box or in the comment section. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment, subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.